And the thing is that in the world of choices and the land that we live in, there are so many different types of footwear that you can wear within the confines of your own home. Some people wear house shoes or slippers, right? So I guess maybe house shoes have laces and slippers don't. That's peculiar, right? Or there's people who just wear flippy floppies in their house, right? Because they can't be bound by socks. And then there's the especially weird weirdos who are walking around in gripper socks, slipper socks, socks with grippers. What are you doing with your life? How can you have your ankles just being strangled with elastic, but then you're going out of your way to make sure that your traction is still under control? What are you running away from in the confines of your own house? Spiders, dust bunnies? I mean, no. Boys and girls, this is a public service announcement. It's time to move away from the gripper slipper socks. And it's time to get yourself a proper pair of house shoes or just barefoot it. Get a little wild. Let them piggies run free.
You know what? Sometimes people need to run away from falling lamps, okay?
Yeah, were you wearing your gripper slipper socks at the time?
No.
Does
TJ,
Microjig make the gripper slipper socks?
Shout out to Microjig real quick. If you make a pair of bright yellow with green gripper slipper socks,
The grips on the bottom are yellow. I mean green.
there you go.
That's awesome.
Gripper slipper socks. We'll do it. And a message will be sent, I promise.
okay, you two, we went live, and this is episode 150 of Sawdust Talk.
Wow.
And we are joined tonight by a former Sawdust Talk member,
Show alumnus.
Jeff Hankey of Maker's Way. And we appreciate you coming on tonight. TJ is going to run through our sponsors real quick, and then we'll get into the show.
All right, so the first sponsor that we need to thank is Hannah and the team over at Surf Prep. They've been with us for at least 100 episodes at this point, which is absolutely fantastic. There are abrasive companies out there. There are sanding and sander and dust collection companies out there, and you have a lot of choices to make. But let's all work together and make the right choice. And we're going to choose Surf Prep, all of us as a team. If you're going to be shopping at Surf Prep's website, you can save some money using a coupon code Sawdust Talk. Get yourself one of their fancy HEPA dust collectors. They're wonderful. Next, we need to talk a little bit about Sawdust Talk merchandise. If you are getting snuggled up to go to bed, this is Sawdust Talk After Dark, and you want to make sure that you're in the finest sleepwear, head over to KC Bombshell Designs and get yourself a really nice water-based ink sublimate printed oversized Sawdust Talk t-shirt, because nothing says a good night's rest like being wrapped in the cozy embrace of an oversized shirt that'll make you and anybody near you think of how wonderful me and Jessie are. Next, we need to talk about Makers for St. Jude. Makers for St. Jude is a charity that our podcast has paired up with over the last 2 years. It was all started by Mike. You can find him on Instagram at Woodworker versus Cancer and at Makers for St. Jude. We work with makers in the online community to create raffle situations where the proceeds from the ticket sales go towards the St. Jude Children's Foundation, children's charity. I'll get that right someday. But childhood cancer sucks, and we like taking the cool stuff that we make and helping it do cool things for people who need our help during a time that no family should have to go to. If you want to get involved, maybe you've got some extra work that you've got lying around or something that didn't do well at a craft show, or maybe you just really want to help fight childhood cancer, reach out to me or Jessie, or heck, even Jeff over here. He'll get you pointed in the right direction too. Oh, there he is. Hey, Jeff. But yeah. And then finally, there is a Patreon for this wonderful podcast for as little as $5 a month, less than a Randy Savage sized Slim Jim. You could help support our channel. Really goes into things like buying equipment and getting us accommodations at the maker meetups and stuff like that. So it all makes us happy. And $5 a month is Well, it's a third of the price of Netflix and 10 times as entertaining. So think about it.
Thanks, TJ. And welcome, Jeff. We are thrilled to have you back on. And I would say, who are you? What are you? Why are you? But we already know you because you've been here before.
Yeah, once or twice. Why'd you roll your eyes when you said it's you're thrilled to have me back on? That was really rude. I don't know if people are watching on YouTube, but you definitely rolled your eyes, and I don't appreciate it.
Well, you
Absolutely.
better start appreciating it because nobody talks to my
Also, a
friend Jessie
Randy
like
Savage size Slim Jim, is that
Yes.
the size of Macho Man Randy Savage, or the size that he would eat if he were still alive? R.I.P.
Well, it's less than both. So
It's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
valid.
Yeah. less than both. Jeff, you were
TJ.
an early co-host on this show back in like episodes 4 and 5 with consistent weekly appearances as a Helpy Helperton and interviewee back in the holy crap, this is starting to take off, what do we do days, right?
Yeah.
Do you have any especially fond memories from the early chaos of the show?
I mean, it was the first time I think I had ever even shown my face on Instagram. I don't think I posted anything, but I remember just like popping on. Like I think Kyle Brewer followed me, and then I was like, "Oh, this guy does a live. He must be a famous Instagram person." And so I started following him, and then started watching it early on. I'm trying to think of some of the bigger people that were on. So like the fourth episode, they needed a guest host and just posted, does anybody want to jump on? And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go in because I didn't even know there was a maker community. Like the only reason I'm even probably still on Instagram is because of Sawdust Talk, because I had no clue. I had been on Instagram for a year at that time, just posting pictures basically as a catalog for my customers to see what I can build. And I didn't know there was a community or anything. And then I saw him and then people talking like they knew each other. And I was like, well, I just got on Instagram. So they all had to have just gotten on Instagram as well. Like these are all brand new people. And like there's people with 50,000 followers. And I'm like, how do they do that? How's that a thing? But I mean, I had Instagram since like 2012 or whatever, but not a woodworking one. And I didn't know there was a community. And I think early on, there wasn't, I don't know how many like live Instagram talk shows there were, but I didn't know of any. And seeing people and having guests on and like people that you never heard of or you didn't know existed, and then they're just like great people. I mean, that's how all of us met. That's how I met some of my best friends. I would say probably some of the most fond memories are just the people I've met that have turned into such close friends. Because as another previous Sawdust Talk host always says, it's not this, I don't know what he says, something about it being the friends you make along the way. This is Braden. Yeah. But I don't know, special guests. I don't know. Like, I mean, we talked about Steve Ramsey being on, Mark Spagnolo, the Wood Whisperer, he was on. That was a really fun interview. I actually did that interview like 2 days after Maker Camp. I was in Chicago with Johnny Builds and Mike, Modustrial Maker, Mike Clifford. And I was in his guest room, just like recording this episode with Mark Spagnola. And then Mark Spagnola? Nolo?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I call him Spaggy. We go way back. At least 2 years.
Hours.
Well, now.
Yeah. I've known of them.
Way back.
But it's cool, like, getting to talk to and interview these people that you've been having a parasocial relationship on the internet with for years, I don't remember if I interviewed Johnny Builds or not. I think I stepped away from that one because it was, I talked to him every day. But I interviewed Building Jessie.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Did I interview you, TJ? It's hard to remember because we were on so many of the same shows.
Yeah, we were doing a lot of just Instagram live for
Yeah.
multiple hours late into the evening. So it got real hazy. The
Yeah.
early days of like late 2020, early 2021 was a lot of late nights and a lot of not reporting to offices the next day. So like we
2021 to 2022.
yeah. But I mean there came a point where you and I were pretty much in the same place on a live, a couple nights a week, and it was don't let TJ on. Anyone but TJ. Anybody else want to hop on that's not TJ?
Yeah. Yeah, that was when we were like TJ's always down. And I mean, with Sawdust Talk, there was a time we had, out of 53 hosts, I think the number was exact. But a lot of people weren't able to make it often. And you were always the person that was like, last minute, I'm down. So definitely one of my favorite. I mean, probably me and Jessie, we didn't ever host one together. I think I was gone before you really.
Yeah, we never hosted together, but
Yeah.
it is kind of wild to think back to that episode, and I've actually gone back and watched it, and I feel like it's super cringy.
Oh, because you're on it, or
That and just it was one of my first lives that I ever did. So, I mean, this was like a whole new world to me, and I'd never done anything like that. So, but I mean, like you're saying, you came on and didn't know about the community, and once I figured that out and wanted to meet more people and interview more people, like it's been great. So,
what do you think? I mean, we can have like favorite interviews. Like some of my favorite interviews are people that I became quick friends with. But as far as like most influential interviews to you, what do you think? Because I mean, I have one, but I'm curious what. I mean, I have several, but I have one that really kind of stands out. But what about you guys, Jessie?
I would say Kat from Boss Babe DIY.
Okay.
It was a really, really fun interview that we did. And I really thoroughly enjoyed. I think that might have been the turning point for me of going into an interview and being like, hey, what's on your bench and what are you working on? Where are you going? To being like, who are you as a person? And she talked about cosplay and this whole other side of her
Yeah.
life. And I think
You
that's
and I met her at Workbench Con,
Mhm.
like the last night, I think, and we just talked to her. I didn't know who she was, just a really tall woman. She's like 7 feet tall. But from far away, she doesn't look tall. It's so weird when people are like tall from far away, or like they look normal size, and then you get closer and you're like, they're not getting any, like they get continuously larger. She's very tall, super sweet. She's very, very nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember, I think you might have asked her to do it that night. I don't remember.
I don't
Maybe
know if
not.
it's that night, but it was shortly after, for
Yeah.
sure. But that was definitely a big turning point where I was like, I've had people in the comments say, oh, we're not even listening to a woodworking podcast. And I'm like, we're all makers and we mostly all know each other. So
Yeah.
I don't just want to know what you're building, but we want to get to know you as a person because that's how we all, are a community, is because we
Yeah.
get to know each other. So
We're going to talk about fucking Dutchman joints again for the 12th time. Like that, just talking straight up woodworking just gets so boring.
it does. TJ, what's
Yeah.
your
I don't know. I think one of the things that this podcast has taught me in 150 episodes is the power of the words pretty please. We've had so many phenomenal guests and so many the companies, CEOs of small, medium, and large businesses have been on the show. And a lot of it just starts with as the youths say, slipping into one's DMs, right? Like it's just an ask and a please. And people are so surprisingly responsive to that. In what we're going to be referring to as, I suppose, season 4, going forward after episode 150, we've already got some real zingers in the works and some really cool stuff coming. But like, I remember Dave Dalby from Walrus Oil, right? Who was still a fairly small business, but was extremely active on social media and within the community. And it was like the easiest ask ever. He was like, "Yeah, dude, of course I'm going to come on."
That was a good interview. I
Right?
didn't interview him, but I remember watching it. It was a good one.
Yeah, I mean that was amazing. I mean, Hannah and the folks over at Surf Prep, not only because they were incredibly involved in the community, but um, like, and then hitching her wagon to us in a way that, I mean, this show can be a little sketchy at times, but like we're here every week and we still do it and we're getting to know everybody. And if you're not watching it on video and you're just listening to it, that's wonderful. And we're so glad that you're here. But, Hannah and the team, we thank them every episode for hitching their wagon to us and making us feel like we have a sense of legitimacy behind what we do. And it allows us, when we reach out to other people to make things happen for the charities and the work that we do, I mean, that's incredible. And it's astounding. Getting Jimmy DeResta on the show was cool, right? I mean, like, we've all done Maker Camp at least once, right? So we've been in his proximity and his presence, and we all know how wonderful of a human he is. But like, guy's kind of a big deal and has been on the internet for a long time. Mark Spagnolo came on the show and then moved like less than an hour away from my front door a couple of months later, and then had a rummage sale out there, and so I got to kind of give him a high five and meet him in person, which was even more interesting. But like, as far as like, I don't know, I really like the Dr. Sari episode, but that should be pretty obvious if you watch that episode. Their combination of art and science and craft into sort of a single targeted goal that they've turned into a career as well, I think is just awesome. And it checks a lot of boxes for me.
You actually, on our road trip that we had recently, you specifically talked about that interview being one of your favorites and how much you enjoyed it, which I thought was kind of cool, that you just like, I'm not just saying this for the podcast kind of thing. Like, we talk about all kinds of stuff, and you chose to bring that up and talk about that interview, which was nice. And then you said like every other person that you interviewed sucked. I don't know. It's weird.
I'm pretty sure that was the gist of what I had said. Yeah. That's not what came out of my mouth at all. But we did end up at a casino buffet shortly thereafter. So, once you eat casino buffet in West Memphis, all bets are off. That's all I'm saying.
You got to ask a Walmart security cop what his favorite buffet is in the area, and then you go to that buffet.
I mean, we need to give that gentleman a little more credit. He was an armored vehicle driver. There's a background check for that.
Oh, was he? Okay. I thought he was just Walmart security. Okay. Well,
no, he was in a Walmart parking lot. Yeah.
On the background security check, do they like investigate places that they've gave like 5-star reviews on Yelp to?
It was a shining review of the finest buffet in West Memphis. So yeah, I mean, like, look, he had all of his teeth, which meant, like, I'm not going to ask him where to go get taffy, but I am going to ask him how to find a nice buffet. Random stranger driving a truck. You betcha.
And, you and I were complaining about the buffet a little bit. A couple of the foods were like, nah, this could be better. But like in a casino for like, and it was, what was it, like $30 or something?
Yeah. And it was Low Country Boil Day. Like, it was amazing. I've never had Low Country Boil at a buffet. That was insane.
Okay,
sorry.
For our listeners, sorry, I need to have you guys backtrack a little bit. And
yeah,
why did you go on this road trip together? Because the people need to know.
Oh, so Jeff was talking about how important friends are and how important community is for the makers. And I'm going to self-aggrandize this way more than I need to, but this is the direction things are going. Last minute, Jeff found himself in possession of a way to get to Workbench Con, or at least to get entrance into Workbench Con. But because of the cost of flying to Atlanta from Jeff's hometown, it was going to seem near impossible. But I had already rented a minivan to drive down because I like my own company and I love taking a road trip. And so, in the name of delivering a friend to his friends and spending time with my internet friend, I drove 8 hours in the wrong direction
Yeah.
in the middle of the night.
Would it added 10 or 12 hours to your drive?
Yeah. Yeah. It took a
In total.
9-hour drive and it turned it into a 21-hour drive. That's how bad I wanted to hang out with Jeff.
But honestly, that 14-hour drive did not feel like 14 hours. I mean, granted, I slept 2
You did
solid
sleep.
hours.
Yeah.
But
PJ, did you sleep at all?
not for days.
No, he did at one point sleep.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
a few
No.
hours.
Yeah. I got a couple hours of sleep, but
TJ showed up at my driveway at 3:30 a.m.
Yep.
Refused to call me, so he slept in the driveway. I live in the hood. I'm surprised there wasn't gunshots or somebody trying to break into the van when he was there. But I woke him up at 6 a.m. and then we got on the road.
Yeah. Hit a gas station, filled the tank, and took off.
Went to a Bussy's.
Did you just like tap on the window? Like,
No,
"Hey, buddy."
I called him.
Oh,
Yeah, and he answered. So
Snapped into action, and down the road we went.
and you just downed a full bag of blue gummy sharks and
Suffered the consequences shortly thereafter.
in the Bussy's bathroom.
Yeah.
and
No,
he showed up with a Bucky sweatshirt on to Workbench
Mhm.
Con.
Yeah, it was a very nice sweatshirt, and it was surprisingly cold in Joplin, Missouri, as opposed to St. Louis. I was on the other corner of the state, and got really cold at night. And I was like, okay, well, hoodie it is. And so then I just lived in that hoodie for like the next 3 days.
It was super soft. I stuck my hand in his pocket.
It was indulgent. It was a mighty fine $22.
I walked around with my hand in his pockets for hours.
Go for hour.
Singular, 1 hour.
Just one singular hour.
Yeah,
Multiple
per hour.
times, 1 hour in multiple intervals.
Well, see, the problem is if you had kept it in there any longer, like the wind would have started blowing. The theme
We
song
know
from
what happens
Flash
then.
Gordon would have been able to be heard in the background. Like glitter would start
That's
falling
Queen, right?
from the
Queen did
sky,
that.
and
Queen did the.
that's how a star's born. So, you know, you can't do that in the middle of a hotel. It's dangerous.
Okay.
think that's the best thing to do in the
So
middle of a
aside from Workbench Con and Sawdust Talk, Jeff, you have been a part of another podcast too. Which when is that coming back?
Bad Shop Advice every Thursday, 9 p.m. Central. Never miss an episode. We never skip a week.
Mm-hmm.
Ever.
Never have.
That's like us. We never skip a week.
Yeah, but you guys are legit with it. We just fuck around and occasionally do it, and we act like we never missed a day. Hey, it's fun. TJ was actually on the first night when we decided to start doing it. Me, Jeff, and Ray. TJ was kind of bouncing in and out. Every week he'd come in. When you're playing like D&D, and then like on the way home or afterwards, you jump in.
Yep.
He's all hyped up from Mountain Dew, Baja Blast, and ready to have a blast.
Look, man, I just spent the last 3 hours eating Laffy Taffy and rolling complex dice. I was ready to party in the workshop. That was back when my tools were small and the messes were small too. Now
You had a motorcycle in the shop at that time too.
Yeah, it's on the other side of this room.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
I love the D&D. That's like every time we've talked about like, oh, this guest can't come on Wednesday. Like, can we do Thursday instead? Oh no, I got D&D that night.
Yep, sorry, I got D&D.
Nope.
Now, I've never played Dungeons or Dragons, but it seems so fun. Like it's definitely something. I'm not a super nerd, but it's definitely something I can get into. My son plays it all the time, so
Yeah,
and
it's
he's
just group storytelling. That's all it is.
yeah.
It's group storytelling and
We should do
furthering
a
on.
campaign at Maker Camp.
Yes, I will run a wizard tower for 5 people at Maker Camp. Done.
Oh my god.
Is that a euphemism? Run a
No,
wizard tower? Oh, okay.
no, that's a drinking game called Wizard Sticks.
Oh, wizard stick?
Yes, Wizard Sticks. You know, like a
Wizard
staff.
sticks.
Yes,
Yeah,
Wizard Sticks.
wizard sticks.
Wizard
I feel like we're
Sticks.
saying the same things.
Yes, we are saying
Wizard
the same
stick.
thing, like a staff. Wizard Sticks.
Yeah, like a long, hard staff
Yes,
of a wizard.
yes,
Wizard stick.
Wizard Sticks. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm here tonight so that I can moderate the Jeff and TJ isms that are gonna happen throughout the show.
No, the rules of Wizard Sticks are very simple. Every time you finish a deep beer, you tape it onto the top of the other one, and whoever has the tallest wizard stick at the end
but
of
the
the
ladies
night is
finish
the
first. That's the rule.
Well,
With
typically,
wizard stick, the ladies finish first.
it's the most honorable way to approach things. I agree. But
But
yeah,
they gotta finish quick.
whoever has
I'm
the
pretty
longest
quick.
wizard stick gets to be Gandalf, and you take the empty case of beer and you set it on his head like a wizard hat, and then he walks around with his wizard stick of pride.
Oh my god.
Oh, you're saying wizard stick?
Yes.
Yep.
Multiple.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Wizard's dick.
Yes, wizard stick.
Yes.
So we'll run a
Okay, where are
wizard's
we going?
tower.
I don't even
We're
know
going to
where
run a
we're
wizard's tower at Workbench Con. Let's talk about maker meetups and how we have gotten to know the community even more closely by spending time in proximity with one another. I've had this conversation with Jeff probably 3 times in the last month about how I feel awkward at events like Workbench Con because that event feels very much like it's for content creators and it's a little bit less focused on craftspeople. And that's something that I work with every year that I'm out there. But the magic of Maker Camp for me is the fact that you get to do parallel play with all of the people who have been cheering for you when they're not around. And then you don't even have to be doing direct play, right? But like it's hands-on and it's fun and it's hanging out and everybody gets to geek out about their thing next to other people geeking out about the same thing. And I didn't understand that when I went last year, but now I've got a much better grasp of it. And this is going to be a wonderful Maker Camp.
It's
Okay, but you can't hold on. You can't talk about geeking out on your thing and hanging out with people because I think all you did was geek out on your thing with people that were geeking out on your thing. So,
well, what do you guys do while you're
Carry
there?
on,
You
carry
and
on.
watch me. I mean,
we go to the Milk Rub. Represent Milk Rub.
yeah.
Milk Rub shirts available at Zach Hess Double K. Just DM him saying you want to rub one out. That's what we say when we go to the Milk Rub. We're gonna go rub one out.
I don't think anybody says that.
we do.
Some people do. Yeah.
Okay, one of them.
I don't know if they're saying it, but I rubbed plenty out.
There were couples of them.
Yeah. Also, the hands-on aspect of Maker Camp is great. I love getting my hands on my friends like TJ and Ed and Zach, getting my hands physically on them, caressing Stone and Morgan from Onefinity, just getting my hands on them. That's what you meant by hands-on, right?
You did.
Are you gonna do a mustache this year?
I did a mustache.
Do you want to fit in with the mustache crew from Onefinity?
So I was going to have one, and then I started shaving it, like trimming, because I had it like coming down to here, and I started shaving it, and then it went up a little too high, and I was like, oh shit! So I went up a little higher on this, and then it ended up being like right here, and that looks super like it's a molest stash when it's like that on me. So I decided to just shave the normal little peach fuzz.
My body only can aspire to grow a beard as luxurious as you've got right now. That's like a year and a half of beard growth for me.
Got like so many gray hairs. I don't know if they're showing up. Silver fox, huh?
There you go. Something to look forward to. That's another episode of Sawdust Talk that we haven't talked about much since it happened. But TJ's 40th birthday episode
Oh
of
yeah,
Sawdust Talk
that
was
was a good one.
really fun and special. Um,
Was it on your
you,
birthday?
it was. Yeah. No,
TJ's 39th birthday episode.
39 times 2.
TJ's Sweet 16 birthday.
There you
TJ's
go.
quinceanera.
Mhm.
Absolutely. But yeah, no, you guys all worked with my darling wife to put together that video, and it was majestic. There was even RoboCop operating a wood
Yeah,
rake.
RoboCop was on it.
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing.
Alec, my shop hand, Alec was in it. Alec and
Mhm.
TJ don't know each other, but Alec, I had him record a video and send it in. He was like, TJ, my main man, I miss your soft hands or something like that. And TJ's like, who the fuck is that guy? And then, what, a year and a half later, you met him.
I
And you
did.
got very annoyed that he ate a hot dog sideways.
I wouldn't say I was annoyed. I was actually more surprised that
In
he
public.
purchased a hot dog for the sole purpose of hiding it in one of his cargo pockets to eat it later.
Dude, the fact that he was gonna make a shelf in my shop that was gonna be like Alex hot dog shelf to just for the joke of when you come to my shop, you'd see it.
Yeah,
Dude,
no,
he's
it needs to
hilarious.
happen. Don't
He's like
don't crush his dreams.
a quieter, better version of me.
So, can we talk a little bit about hot dogs and lumber yards?
Nope,
It's been 3 years.
can't talk about that.
Are you sure?
I think they need to make a comeback though.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think
you
it's gonna have
explain
to.
more of this. What's going
Can't
on?
sorry, can't talk
Yeah,
about it.
this is kind of top secret. That's why I asked for permission, and
Yeah.
it was denied. So that's fine. But
But
I will say that it was one of the greatest TJ traps known to mankind.
do your Home Depots have hot dogs?
Not anymore.
Nope.
Okay,
Not
because
since
mine doesn't either.
2020.
Really?
Yeah, there are other cities. Chicago still has
I
depot
know
dogs.
Chicago has them. Yeah.
I'm surprised that OKC doesn't have depot dogs. That makes me kind of
I'm
sad.
surprised OKC doesn't have like deep fried hot dogs at the Home Depot.
I mean, I'd be there with bells on. No, getting a hot dog on your way
Yeah,
out of Home
speaking
Depot
of,
was like the best part of going to Home Depot the second time that day.
Yeah, we've never had one with a hot dog vendor in it or
Oh,
anything. I've only seen the ones in Chicago. But speaking of Maker Camp and hot, do you think it'd be possible to like get an inflatable hot tub and take it to Maker Camp? Because where me and Zach camped last year, we had like a water faucet that we could just hook up a hose and fill up a hot tub.
I
I
think
mean, if
that's
I'm driving a pickup truck, I think that these are requests that are relatively reasonable.
absolutely possible. How many people is this going to fit? Because if you set up a hot tub at Maker Camp, it might overflow.
I'll continuously put like Baby Ruth's or Snickers bars in there, so they'll think somebody pooed in it. So nobody will get in there, just us.
And then
Because we'll know that it's not a poo.
Then that's how I really prank you.
Oh no. No.
I mean, I'll just stick to playing hit the nail with a flip hammer. With somebody tell me the German name for that. Reinheitsgebot.
Hammerschlagen.
There you go, Hammerschlagen.
You gotta ask Alyssa about that.
Are you bringing Alyssa this year?
Yes.
So she's gonna dominate again. Has she been practicing?
Yeah. She's been counting down the days to Maker Camp since last year, and I actually haven't posted this yet, so maybe I'll post it before I post this episode. But Harvey actually sent her a chopstick master.
Oh, nice.
Oh, adorable.
It was super adorable.
Yeah.
It
I
was
hope,
on
I hope
back
they
order.
give. I hope they give. Ryan's doing the Ryan Cochran. He's doing the chopsticks again this year. I think, right? I hope so.
It's very
And I
nice.
hope he gets. I hope they let him have a lot more than just the two, because that was
Yeah.
like a hot item, and like Harvey
Oh,
would be very smart giving, because it's a bridge city, right? Is that what it
yeah.
is?
Yeah.
I mean, that's such good, just dirt cheap advertising. 'Cause so many people want to buy that shit after they make a chopstick.
Well, they had after Maker Camp, they did a reel that went like super viral, and they were actually sold out of the chopstick master
Yeah.
for like a couple months. So it took a while to get it. I knew it was coming, but it took a while to get it. So she just opened it this last week and got to play with it a little bit. So
She's already made 53 pairs of chopsticks.
there you go. There you go.
Yeah. She's reached out to Etsy to get more sleeves to contain her chopsticks once she's made them.
She got 3 boxes of chopsticks. So there's a lot of bags in there.
Oh, that's
Bags.
So
good.
bags.
Do you
Did I
like
say that?
dags?
Dags? Oh, dogs.
That's why we're friends, buddy.
Bigger bag.
So there's a few more things that I want to touch on as we sort of retrospectively look back at 150 episodes that I think we shouldn't leave this out. But there is 100. Yeah, I'm comfortable saying that there's 100 episodes with various makers with a final question in it, and we'll get to that for you, Jeff.
Oh,
and
shit.
he's probably just going to turn the camera off. It's going to be great.
I think I already
please-
did that once.
I know. Please
I'll
don't.
do AI for you. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's even better. And there's a lot of people who really open up on the final question, but I just want to thank all of the makers who have been on the show who have decided to do big shares during the show and talk about why they're into woodworking, maybe as like a form of therapy or as a way to get over things or a way to get around things or a way to get through things. And talking about that kind of stuff with internet strangers or internet friends or internet acquaintances is tough. And it's hard to say more than, wow, that was a really big share. Thank you for being comfortable, which keeps the conversation going. But I think on an episode 150, we can acknowledge that like we've seen some really heartfelt moments. People have talked about being at some really low places and sharing their story of how woodworking maybe hasn't even finished turning things around for them yet. But that's the type of community that we want to build. We want to be sharing and comfortable with one another. And if anything that we've learned in 3 years of doing the show is that the woodworking and maker community, especially on Instagram, lifts each other up. It's so rare to see people getting ripped to shreds unless it's in the name of good, clean fun. And we have a lot of good, clean fun. And sometimes people get their feelings hurt, but
sometimes dirty fun.
it happens. But I just, again, I want to acknowledge if anybody's tuned in and listening still, thank you if you've shared and it was a big share. We noticed, but we had to keep the conversation going.
Jeff, do you have any?
And then they stopped listening. Oh, anything to add about what? People sharing?
Do you have any big shares?
I think people share
Do you
too
have any?
much.
Do you have any like super special moments that stick out to you over the last few years, whether it's through Sawdust or maker events or anything like that?
I mean, maker events, like the first time. So maker camp, my first maker camp, when I landed in the airport in Syracuse, and Zach picked me up, double K. Never met him before. I'm flying to a complete stranger that I've talked to a bunch of times on the internet, but never met him. He picked me up. We immediately hugged, and immediately it was like we had been friends for years. We went to a local bar of his. Upstate New York feels very much like Oklahoma. Kind of redneck. The accents are different. But other than that, very similar, eerily similar. And then the next day we drove drove sideways and down to East Durham, and we get out of the car and we see Ed Mancini walking up, and we just gave him a big old bear hug. And immediately it was again like we had been friends that see each other on a weekly basis for decades. And then we go in and we start seeing other people that we know from other, from Instagram. I mean, primarily that's all I've really been on, but that and Grinder. But we've seen these people on Instagram, and now it's like these are in real life, and it's weird. And I'm not great in social situations around a lot of people. I get a lot of anxiety. And so if I don't want ever to come off like an asshole where I'm like not talking to somebody. I'm like petrified that somebody thinks that I'm an asshole just because I don't talk to them. But it's because I think you don't know who I am. But
It's because you tell people not to touch you.
yeah, I did say that the first Workbench Con. Don't fucking touch me. And then I went to Workbench Con and I met Jessie in person and met other people in person. And then 1 year later, TJ finally shows up to Workbench Con. And that was like, I've known this guy as long as all of these other people, if not longer. And now I'm finally seeing him in person. And I like going to these maker events and talking to people on these podcasts and on these Instagram shows. This sense of community is something that like I've always wanted and like didn't realize how much I wanted it. And it's really special. And then like being able to interview people on these podcasts and getting these heartfelt messages is just so fucking cool. I don't know. Was that your question? What was your question? How many?
That was awesome.
Oh, one podcast that stood out to me. So I don't know if anybody's ever listened to any of the podcasts I've been on or anything, but I was running a historical restoration company that I founded. I got fucked over in that, lost a bunch of money, was broke, struggling to figure out what the fuck I'm going to do. It's the fall after COVID, so nobody's hiring or anything. And it was just really terrible. And I was struggling on what to do. I could do a little bit of woodworking. I had spent my extra money buying a few tools for this hobby. And then a video on YouTube popped up, and I mostly followed like engineers, and stupid goofy shit on YouTube. This video of Matt Outlaw 731 Woodworks, who's been a guest, popped up, and it was like five things that you can make that are guaranteed to sell. And a lot of people put those videos out, especially back then. And I watched it and I built some of those things. I didn't sell any of them. I tried to. They did not sell. But then that video, that one video, and I'd watched like Steve Ramsey and Mark Spagnuolo for years, and Jimmy DiResta as well. But this one felt like different. This guy's like talking to me, and he's like, "Hey, you don't have any money? You don't have a job? Make some shit, sell it." He didn't say that. I don't think he cusses. He's a very Christian man. But so what, a year and a half later, 2 years later almost, I interview him, and I just told him, I was like, "Man, I want you to know like how much that one specific video meant to me, because it essentially changed my life." And just like I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about being able to tell somebody who doesn't even know that he changed my life. And at that time, he had like 100,000 YouTube subscribers, not that big of a channel at all or anything. And it was just really cool being able to talk to him and interview him and get his opinion on things. And he doesn't really make videos like that anymore. It's more of a tool review channel now, and it's great. He's a great guy. But being able to, I don't know, the community is just fucking great, and it's really cool to be able to have this type of outlet where you can talk to people and become friends with people and share experiences, and then go to these fucking meetups and get in a hot tub in a hotel pool and with 3 strangers you met on the internet and eat lunch.
That lunch was spaghetti in the hot tub too, wasn't it?
I think we all just had salads. I don't remember. I know I just had a salad in there. And I've never felt shorter and fatter than standing next to Stone and Morgan in nothing but a towel. Like, man, talk about a hit to the self-esteem.
No,
It's
if
like
I stand
they
in
took
between
them and just
Stone
like
and Morgan,
squashed
it
them and
looks
moved
like
them
the
out.
number 101.
Do what?
If I stand between Stone and Morgan, it looks like the number 101. It's preposterous.
Oh man, it's a good time.
That's it. I mean, they're a different standard. They're a different breed of human. Tall, slender. Yeah.
Yeah, they're so good though. Man, there's so many fucking
love
people
them.
in here. They're so cool. There's only like 1, maybe 2 makers that I don't like, and I'll tell you who they are. What about least favorite guests?
Wow, that's very interesting.
Ooh.
My least favorite guest is the same maker that I don't like. I'm not gonna tell people. You can DM me if you want to know.
There's some other day. I can say that the most difficult interview that I think we had on the channel, which in my opinion really turns around in the second half once the coffee starts to kick in, was the Crafting Dutchman. There was a language barrier, and it was a really unique experience. He was one of our first international guests, and he was up at 0 dark 30 in the name of being a guest on the show because he was a huge fan, and I know he still is. But there was a language gap and a sense of humor gap that I don't think a lot of us were prepared for. But we got to talking about hand tools and got to talking about working on the lathe, and things started warming up, and the coffee started kicking in for him. And by the end, he was cracking wise, and it really felt like he was one of the team, and that felt like a pretty special earned victory for me.
Yeah.
And it worked out to be in a really cool opportunity and episode. And he and I still are loosely in touch through direct messages on Instagram every once in a while. Too.
I'm curious how many people watch the YouTube videos and are curious why. I know you guys usually try and avoid it when somebody gets up and walks away from the screen. But since she's not here, I'm just going to put her on blast. Jessie got up. She had to go poop. She's right now currently pooping. And I don't know if she'll ever know that. But now she's back. So
shut up.
Did you hear it?
You're making her life more difficult as she edits out some details.
Damn it.
Stop. Okay, so the one person I really want to have back on, which I would
Besides
say
me. Why do you guys interview each other?
It's coming.
Nobody cares about us.
I'm a big deal.
I'm not.
So who's the person you want to interview again?
Luke Johnson. Luke did a podcast with his buddy for a while. I'm gonna space on the name of the podcast right now, but when we had him on, his audio and connection was terrible, and I felt really bad about that episode because he was so fun. Oh, splinters and stuff. Are you guys looking it up right now?
Yeah, we're making sure that we're on the same page. Yeah. His body of work is so good.
I know. He does great stuff. And him and I am going to space on the other guy's name right now. But
he's handsome.
He is a good looking fellow.
a great podcast, and I would listen to that when I was building my woodshed, and it was awesome. But when we had him on and we had all these connection issues and stuff, I felt so bad. So I
Was
want to
it
have
back in
him back
the
on.
Instagram days?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It
would
may have
probably
been
go
one of the
through.
final straws.
Yeah, I think I was the last episode on straight up Instagram, right?
It's
Yeah.
very likely.
Because
That was at the
So-
end of season 2. Yeah.
it froze up or kicked us off or something, and like
Any
didn't know if we
number
could
of
find the episode. Yeah.
yeah. Any number
This
of
is
things.
way
You
better.
guys miss that? You guys miss being more audience driven? Because that's kind of like bad shop advice. We really just wanted to be, because Sawdust Talk is fun when you can read the comments and go back and forth, but it's tough to have an actual interview when you're trying and simultaneously, cater to the audience. You kind of have to pick and choose, and that's kind of why, like on Batch Off Advice, we were just like, fuck it, we're only worried about the audience. This is 100% audience driven, because I didn't want to have to go through and edit and like do anything like that or save or start an actual podcast or anything. But do you guys miss kind of the more audience interaction on it, or
No.
I liked
too much to go to deal with at once?
Am
I
I
liked
going?
that. No, you're not. Ever. Never, ever. That's why we're such a dynamic duo. Shared brains, perfectly synced timing.
One singular brain cell.
Go.
I like the asking of questions.
Yeah.
I think that if you are a beginner or intermediate woodworker and you see people who are the subject of persistent content that you admire, having an opportunity to get a question, right? Squeak it through and not necessarily put them on the spot, but like feel like somebody handed you the microphone at a lecture, right? That's cool. That's really cool, because we've had some guests that are tough to obtain. Not everybody is good at getting on the DMs, but like it's out there. And I liked that. Some of the tomfoolery that happened in the chat
Tomfoolery, yeah.
was really distracting. And I liked the part where Sawdust Talk meets the maker, not Sawdust Talk discusses hand tools versus power tools. And I think in season 2.5 and well through season 3, we really got into that, and that's been nice.
Yeah.
I think it makes also, if you're not watching the video and you're just listening, it makes for a very soothing episode.
Yeah.
And you can get a real feel for the people behind the content, which is neat. That's the whole idea.
It's difficult to guess like what was the audience saying? What are they talking about? When you're just listening to a podcast after they just read all the comments, they're like, I can't believe what Steve just said. And then the audience is like, what the fuck did you just say?
I think that's it's a great point. I mean, there is the aspect of like, listener interaction. I like to, ask people on Instagram to drop questions below, and sometimes you get some, sometimes you don't.
How dare you? Hold on, real quick. How dare you, listeners? You're listening to this right now and you didn't ask a damn question. Whoever's on next.
Calm down, Jeff.
I don't want to know. It's going to be a bad question.
No, it's going to be great. But like,
go ask a question right now.
Like,
go click on Instagram, DM Jessie, and ask a question for the next person right now. Stop what you're doing. Quit this pause this podcast and go ask a fucking question. Help them out because they want questions.
But see, we don't need the help. I mean, like TG was saying,
somebody asking questions is always good.
The fluency of a video, or listening back to this later, when people are popping up just like saying random shit in the comments, it does make it very distracting to an interview.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Would you like to know your question?
Oh, is it question time?
There was
Gather
one
around, boys and girls. Sit on the squared, circled carpet, whatever. I don't know. I
This-
haven't been to school in a long time.
This question is from none other than Mr. Fabulous Mark Adams.
Oh, the photographer, my personal photographer. I'm one of 3 people he's ever shot naked.
Okay, we don't need to get into
And the
that.
only person he was in the photos with.
We also don't need to get into that. His question is, why do you have the best hair at Maker Camp?
Oh, he's got gray hair too. That's
He
Silver
does.
Fox.
He does.
I just want to run my hands through it. People who don't know me are going to be like, "What the fuck is wrong with this guy?"
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mark's at home.
Yeah, I love that dude.
I didn't meet Mark until his episode on the podcast, and we hit it off like the oldest of friends and share so many different interests.
You guys talked about me a lot
simultaneously.
on that podcast.
Well, I mean, again,
We
you
did.
have some of the best hair at Maker Camp.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
And there's
a lot
a
of
serious
product.
bromance
Takes
that
hours and
don't
hours.
need to
I
get
have the worst
into.
hair. I have horrible hair. There's so much product in my hair. I can't stand too close to a lighter, somebody lighting a cigarette, or my hair will catch fire. That's why at Maker Camp they start the bonfire. I have to evacuate.
Hey, Jeff,
TJ,
do you have any woodpecker's tools, and are they worth the money?
damn, that's classic. That's so funny. What was it? It was Jeff, right?
Yeah.
He's like, how much? Oh, he was so stoned out of his mind.
Yeah, no, he was really indulging in the flowers.
That's one of the things you miss out on with interacting with the audience and having. But again, if you assholes would just fucking write in some questions for these 2 lovely people.
That's not how you talk to our audience. They're lovely
They're
humans.
not my audience.
There's also another member of the audience who actually was a pretty special guest that I do want to shout out as well. And I'm going to butcher her last name, but Nancy Schieneman.
Oh, Nancy.
Like in the peak of the darkest, most miserable moments of the early pandemic, Nancy was a glowing, radiant,
always there
beam of sunshine that seemed to just somehow always be there for all of us.
Yeah.
Like it was amazing. And I know that she's, I think, had some stuff going on in her life, but she's still out there making content.
Mm-hmm.
She got a lathe. She's still turning stuff every once in a while. I still get to see animated GIFs of Snoopy and his friends.
Big Snoopy fan. Love it.
On her videos, and it brings me
so nostalgic.
So much joy 5 years later. So Nancy deserves a proper shout out and a thank you for watching and
when I said assholes, I wasn't
and
talking
cheering
about
for us.
I was talking about everybody else, but not Nancy.
See, that's not how you talk about our viewers. The time is now 10:28, boys and girls. Well, that's Central Time.
What if they're listening in the morning? Then it's 10:28 a.m.
Well, the point of that statement is just to let everybody know that we are poking at the 1 hour mark, and we try to be respectful of everybody's time, even though we started about 28 minutes late. It does bring us to the final question of the night, Jeff.
What about sponsors?
Oh my
gosh, something going on, right?
Dare I? And we've got some sponsor stuff to talk about.
Shout out to Surf Prep.
Can I start?
Yeah.
I'm gonna start. So we need to announce a really special raffle that
stand
is
up when you're saying it. Can you stand up real quick? Oh yeah. All right.
Maker's Way. So we have a very special sponsor that is going to be hosting a raffle for Makers for St. Jude. We love Mike. We love everything he's doing. Harvey Industries has joined the raffle game with an Alpha 3 horsepower 15-inch stainless bandsaw. So this is a nickel coated bandsaw, and we are going to be hosting a raffle for them. So you guys stay tuned for that, and that'll be posted here in the next day or two. So TJ,
You
go
said it
on
was
with
the
the
nickel-plated
If
one.
ever there was a drool-worthy tool that you should want to have in your shop, it's a 3 horsepower bandsaw. The amount of mayhem and fun that you can have with a tool like that is, I mean, it is measurable, but it would take a long ruler. That's all I have to say
You
about
can
that.
measure it in horsepowers.
At least
You
3 of
measure
them.
three
Mhm.
happinesses.
All 3.
Yeah.
Let's see here. We need to also remind everybody that if you're looking for Sawdust Talk merchandise, you should head over to caseybombshelldesigns.com and find yourself an extra cozy, snuggly, hooded Sawdust Talk sweatshirt. Because if you're not interacting with us live and you're
You're
just
interacting
a
against
listener,
us.
let other people know that you're not interacting and you are listening. And that's easily done with a lovely fuzzy hooded sweatshirt. There's a Patreon for Sawdust Talk. It's absolutely wonderful. Um, it's $5 a month. That is less than a Trenta iced black tea at Starbunkles. That's all I have to say about that. And then finally, we've shouted out Hannah at least twice this episode so far. She gets one more because she is a lovely human. The team at Surf Prep Sanding Systems is a delight. They're at major maker meetups. Make sure you give them a high five when you see them. If you are going to be shopping at surfprep.com, please consider using coupon code Sawdust Talk. Save some money, help the show a little bit. That brings us to the final question, Jeff.
Hold on. I got a question about
What question is that?
surf prep sanders.
Yes.
Do you guys you both have one? Use one, correct?
2.
Do you have like the 6-inch orbital?
I do.
Do you use an interface pad or a protector on that, or you just go you raw dog straight sandpaper to pad?
It depends on how much work I'm trying to get done.
Okay, because I always use an interface pad on my non-surf prep yellow brand, and it's really pissing me off how it's not staying on. Like I go through a lot of interface pads. I just wondering if the pad on the surf prep is more durable. I don't know. I'm really stressed out about my yellow
so the
one.
the
Really
backer
pissing me off.
pad, there's
Yeah,
a pad saver that you can
yeah,
add on
pad
to it.
saver.
They are very sticky. I
Okay.
have the only time I've ever had a problem with anything sticking is when I'm sanding drywall, which obviously creates, very
Yeah.
fine dust. So there's been times with the squishy foam that it doesn't stay on, but I've never had that problem with just straight sandpaper.
Well, I'm just curious because today it was driving me fucking crazy with my sander and just curious about other options because I've used the green and a dark bluish gray brand as well, and those interface pads seem to be better with the amount of sanding that I do in my shop, which is a lot, probably more than most people I know. It's really becoming frustrating. And I wanted to get that out before I said my last bit of piece, the last question. So,
Okay, but I will say, Surf Prep sanding and abrasives has abrasives for all sanding systems. You don't have to own a Surf Prep sander to have Surf Prep abrasives. Go to their website, check it out. Use code Sawdust Talk for 10% off.
and I'll throw in an additional 0% off.
Cool.
Well, there you go. All right, Jeff, final question time. You know that at the end of every episode, we ask our extra special guest, and trust me, you put the capital S in special guest. It's at the end of guest.
Capital guess.
Yes, capital G, lowercase s. We ask our guests to give a motivational quote, a thought, a reason to open the door to their workshops, grab a tool, make a mess, get awesome, or try something new. What do you want to share with the cool kids listening?
I just put it right back in the exact same spot. You know, I think I have done this question like 5 times now. I think at least one time it's been very similar. But these past couple months for me, January was the slowest month I've ever had. Now, granted, I haven't been doing this that long in the grand scheme of things, but oh, who's echoing? Okay, it's over. Peaks and valleys really. I've been really thinking about peaks and valleys. You know, you have good months, you have bad months, whether it's financial, whether it's, you know, stresses, burdens, positives, negatives. There's always peaks and valleys to everything you do, whether it's, well, I'm making content and I'm getting a lot of views last month, but I haven't gotten any views this month, or, you know, you have a sales job and you made a ton of sales last month and you haven't made anything this month. January, I didn't sell one piece of furniture. It was by far the most difficult month. I kept on trucking, keep on keeping oning, and you have to learn to embrace the suck, to really when you're at the bottom of the valley, there's no place but up. Or lower. You can definitely go lower as well. There's absolutely lower. You can go through the Earth's crust and just straight into the mantle, and you feel like you're on fire, dying, gasping for air. And, you know, chances are you'll get out. And when you do, take a step back and like cherish it. Cherish the good things in life when they happen. Cherish the time that you get to spend with your friends. Just cherish everything humanly possible after you get out of that fucking rut, because you're going to go back down in there. And when you have those memories of the good times, or in business, you have the financial, you know, the money that you set back because things were good and you're like, fuck yeah, things are great right now. I'm going to put a little bit of money back. That way it'll carry me through that valley, because it's going to happen again and you have to be ready for it. Don't fucking be sad about it. Put your head down, keep working, climb back up that hill to get to those good fucking moments again, because those good moments are almost as good as giving TJ a fucking hug at 6 a.m. when he shows up on your doorstep to drive you 14 hours to make your meetup.
Oh my gosh, that's so perfect. I love it. I feel like, dare I say, this might be the softest episode we've ever seen of you, Jeff.
I'm so soft right now.
Okay, TJ. Anyways,
shout out to Surf Prep and the shirt. Get yourself join the Patreon. And who was the other sponsor? The shirts. Buy some shirts. Sawdust Talk shirts. I was gonna wear mine, but I was running late. I was gonna put on my Sawdust Talk shirt.
We will see all of you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, guys.